Introduction to Greek Mythology. Alright, we are going to talk about three different things here. The first two are myths and legends. Alright, myths are fictional stories. They were used to explain how things, like how the world began, have deep symbolic or thematic meaning, often involve supernatural beings like gods and goddesses. The example here is going to be the Odyssey, and we'll talk about the Odyssey and the Iliad in just a little bit. Legends, on the other hand, are fictional stories that are based upon an event people believe to have really happened. So the example here is the Iliad. There's an awesome picture of Brad Pitt. Alright, so folk tales are the third type. Many myths and legends are folk tales. Folk tales are stories that have been passed on from one generation to the next in the oral tradition. This part's kind of important, I think. The oral tradition means there's not necessarily one exact story because people often change them from generation to generation. The original author is often unknown. It is very common for many versions of folk tales to exist. Why should we study Greek mythology? First, the ancient Greek culture has been kept alive through these stories for thousands of years. Modern plays, novels, television programs, movies, and even advertisements allude to the Greek gods and goddesses, heroes, and their stories. Adventurous, adventurous and exciting stories delight and entertain us. Alright, we're going to show you a few different allusions here. Some of them you probably know, some of them you may not. So first, the Nike swoosh up here is an allusion to the god of victory, and her name was Nike. Here we have a Honda Odyssey. Now that is an allusion to the story by Homer, the Odyssey, and we're actually going to be reading that. Then we have a sea nymph, and you guys may know this is a image of Starbucks. Here, the winged flight is a messenger, is related to Hermes, and you see this Goodyear Tires has an example. I think like FedEx or UPS, one of the delivery people have this. A lot of people have the winged feet. Trident Splash is an allusion to the god Poseidon. And then finally, we have a Pandora jewelry bracelet, and Pandora was somebody who pretty much ruined the world for us. Alright, here's another example. This is, see if you can guess it, but it is Venus razors, because once you shave your leg with one of those, you will be as beautiful as Venus. So those are just a couple examples of allusions that people use in modern times. Alright, so the Greeks believed completely in the existence of gods. And actually, last I checked, there's about 2,000 people who still believe in this religion. Alright, Zeus was the king of all the gods. He lived with his wife Hera and the rest of the gods on Mount Olympus, which is located in northern Greece. City-states, like Sparta and Athens, worship particular gods, or goddesses. The Greek culture was also known for hero worship. This hero might be the town's founder or a historical figure who played a major role in an important battle. Homer. Homer wrote both the Odyssey and the Iliad. These were epic poems that were composed in Greece around 700 to 800 BC. Now the guy on the top is who we're talking about. The guy on the bottom is Homer Simpson. Possibly an allusion to a great storyteller, storyteller, but really, this is the guy we're talking about up here. Homer is believed to have been a blind poet that is given credit for writing these pieces. Alright, they are a two-book series, the Odyssey and the Iliad. We say two books, really they're called volumes, and there's actually numerous volumes. There's a ton of them. Alright, the Iliad and the Odyssey take place during 1200 BC. The Iliad is the story of the Trojan War, which is up here. And the Odyssey is the story of the Greek soldiers' journey home from Troy after the 10-year war. So first it was a 10-year war, followed by a 10-year Odyssey. Alright, so here's a quick little map. This is the map of kind of the Aegean Sea. This is Italy, Greece, that type of place. Here's the Mediterranean Sea you see at the bottom. Down here, this is where the war takes place this is where the war takes place in Troy. This is where everybody's coming from, or I guess the main people are coming from. So they sail from here up here to fight these guys. They fight these guys for like 10 years, and then they get lost all throughout here. And here's kind of a map of what we think would have happened and what would have taken place. Alright, so epic poems. Both the Iliad and the Odyssey are epic poems. An epic poem is a long narrative poem about the adventures of a legendary hero whose actions often reflect the ideals and values of a nation or race. Usually when you hear the word epic, it means something big or something huge. These are huge, long poems. The Odyssey in its original form is so long that it is divided into 24 books or volumes. So the Odyssey is one book, but it has 24 separate volumes or books that go along with it. Characteristics of an epic. The story is set in many locations, real or imaginary, or across a wide area. The hero is an important historical or legendary character of high social position, a king or a prince, for example. The hero is usually pitted against overwhelming odds and must be strong and courageous. Supernatural events and beings play an important role in the plot. The story is told in language that is formal and grand. They try to make it really fancy. Types of characters in Greek mythology. First we have the mortals. These are humans. Basically, what humans are, they can die. Alright, so it's people like us. So Odysseus is an example of one of the mortals we will be talking about. Now, immortal means they cannot be killed. So the gods and goddesses who cannot be killed are immortal. So Athena, Apollo, Poseidon, Zeus. And then we have these demigods. These are the guys who make the stories really stinking cool. Alright? Because they're individuals who have one immortal parent and one human parent. So usually they're really, really hard to kill. The examples here, Achilles, Heracles, if we want to say it their fancy way, and Helen. Alright, the values of ancient Greek culture. So basically these people valued courage, strength, skill, intelligence, loyalty, hospitality, and respect for all forms of life. One of the reasons they really respected the hospitality and the respect for all forms of life is the gods were kind of tricky. So a god might come to your door and say he's dressed as a beggar. If you offer him hospitality and take him in and feed him, he'll respect you and he'll give you grace, or he'll like you. If you disrespect him, even though you don't know he's a god, he'll kill you or eat you or do something really weird. Alright? They could dress as an animal. It's hard to say. But the gods were kind of tricky, so they really focused a lot on all of these characteristics. Alright, the principal goals sought by Greek men: glory and honor. You have to be remembered. So a Homeric hero is how the hero is remembered and honored after his death, is determined by how well he faces death, how heroic his adversaries are, and how well he fights. The greatest insult to a hero is for others not to give the hero the honor due to him. We're going to see a big example of this in Troy when we watch that. Everlasting fame is the ultimate honor. Sometimes warriors fail to realize their own human limitations. In fact, excessive pride and arrogance is called hubris in ancient Greek. This concludes our quick introduction to Greek mythology. Make sure you have your notes and be ready for a possible quiz on the next day after it is due. Have a great night.